Black Cat Crafts, the channel that helps you personalize your Halloween village. Our craft today is a 3D Papercut Oogie Boogie moon.
If you like The Nightmare Before Christmas as much as I do, you're going to love today's craft. There's a scene in the movie where the image of the Oogie Boogie is in the moon. He opens his mouth and bats come flying out. So our craft is a 3D paper cut lighted moon. I show you how to make it with all dollar store parts. So super easy on the budget, super fun to craft, and it will look fantastic and unique in your Halloween village. So let's get to crafting.
So first, collect all your supplies. Then we'll start with step 1. We're going to draw and make the back of the Oogie Boogie moon. Now, to make a perfect circle, I found a lid and it was the right size. Put it on top of my foam board and simply drew a circle. After that, I used my razor knife and my scissors to cut the circle out. So now on to step 2. Now I hand drew the Oogie Boogie on my transparency sheet, so that piece of plastic, that thin plastic that you see. If you're of a certain age, you'll recall your teachers at school doing transparencies all day long. That's exactly the type of paper that I used. Actually plastic. So I'm hand drawing the Oogie Boogie moon. If hand drawing isn't your jam, print an image out and trace over it. So once you've got your image in place and the way you want it, then you'll want to color it in, because having him, black is actually just like it was, or very similar to the way it was in the movie. And I really love this look. It's very striking for the end product. So now that it's all colored in, let's move on to step 3. We're going to make a lot of side pieces. This is a lamp that uses light in a variety of layers to aid in seeing the 3D effect that this particular craft has. So take thin strips of the foam board. That there is measured to 1/4 inch. And then to make it bend easily, I'm cutting halfway through with a razor knife. There you see, it bends really nicely, and I created a whole pile of them. You're going to need them for multiple levels in your project. The next step is simply attaching that first layer. I used hot glue. It was simple and effective. Step 5. Let's attach the lights. These are inexpensive dollar store lights. I literally paid $1 for them. I take my lights and I thread them through a hole I punched in the back. I'm going to glue the battery pack to the back of this light, and I'm also going to put a metal hook there later in the project. But for now, feed all of your fairy lights through the hole and then begin to attach them once you're satisfied. Now, I'm pointing out here that the switch for the light, I wanted it to be at the top, which would be the 12 o'clock if this were a clock. So kind of keep that in mind. This is a heavier piece. You will need to be able to slide the back on and off to change the batteries. So be mindful about which side you're gluing and where it is glued for balance. Now to begin attaching the fairy lights. The space between my fairy lights was too large, so I measured it out and realized that I needed to take out about half. Instead of rewiring them, I simply gently fold them, being very careful not to make a hard crease because that could break my wires. And then I use a little bit of hot glue to seal them into place. All done. Super easy. The next step, let's draw and attach the first level bats and level 2 bats as well. I used wax paper over my drawing for the initial round of bats. Now these are going to be the bats that are farthest away, so to add to the effect of distance in 3D, these will be the smallest bats that you draw. I also wanted them to appear to be coming at me. So most of the smallest bats are clustered near the top of the mouth. And as the project progresses, you'll see that the larger bats tend to cluster near the bottom or even outside the mouth. Now I've attached the wax paper with the 3 bats that I drew, and I'm adding another layer of the cut foam board. Again, this is a 3D project, so you'll do multiple layers of these, so you're going to need a ton of those. So if you didn't make enough, you can go back and make more now. So attach that, adjusting for length as needed. I filled in that little spot with hot glue later on. And now let's move forward. I am going to draw some additional bats on this level of the Oogie Boogie. I am not gluing it just yet. This is just to see how the bats look in his mouth. Again, it's raised up, so you start to get the effect of the 3D already. You can't really see it from this angle, but when I'm drawing these, it's really looking exciting. I'm going to add just a few bats here. Again, these are just, they're a little larger. It makes them pop. It makes it, again, enhances the bats are flying at you. Add a little spooky, a little terror to the project, assuming you're afraid of bats. Another piece I'll point out is I'm drawing bats at different angles and at different places in their flight, so their wings are in different patterns. This was a stylistic choice for me. If you want to use bat cutouts that are all the same, I'm sure it'll look fantastic. Step 7. This is essential to get the beautiful golden look that you see in the lamp. I used a piece of cardstock to create a paper cut of just the eyes and the mouth. Step 8, the final layer. Now that I've attached the cardstock and the Oogie Boogie clear layer, I have added the final layer. So first, add one last layer of the edging, that foam board with the chamfers on it. Go all the way around, and then do a final layer of the plastic, drawing the bats toward the bottom again, and these will be the largest. So you see that cluster of 5 bats near the bottom? Those are all on the top layer. Lastly, I cut a black ring out of construction paper. This was a stylistic choice for me. I didn't like the white ring around the outside. And then the last finishing touch you need to do is simply to cover the outside. This will show multiple layers of the white foam board and the plastic sandwiched between. I didn't like the look, so I took a simple black ribbon and I glued it on. The final product is phenomenal. The way the lights, these are just white lights, glow through the cardstock paper, the wax paper, and the multiple layers of plastic is just gorgeously spooky. I mean, just how classy is that? in my other video earlier on in this video, you saw that there were some other colors, the purples and the greens. Those were atmospheric, reflected from the Halloween piece in front of it. So you'll find that the piece is just so much fun. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Please check out my other videos, hit like and subscribe. I can't wait to see you again.